Well, hello to all and a grand rising to those who are just waking up. And to those of us who it is already afternoon for, hello, hello, hello. Listen, we have been covering the water. We have been looking at where is the water, what happened to it, and all that good stuff. But today, what we're looking at is the Rhine. The Rhine River has completely or very close to running dry. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to start with the Rhine River. We're also going to look at the wild, raging fires that are taking place in France and how they all sort of play together. This will also be a full documentary style video that'll be run on Headlines with a Voice. So we're putting that together right now. So this whole live that you guys are taking part of right now will literally be alive. Isn't that cool? Cool, cool. All right. So the Rhine River runs dry and it's set to become impassable to crucial coal barges, with Europe on course to suffer the worst drought in 500 years, with terrifying wildfires burning once again in France. Water levels in the Rhine, which carries, get this, about 80% of all goods transported by water in Germany from its industrial heartlands to the country, is relying upon Russia to turn off the gas tap. So, in other words, pretty soon here, they're going to be in some trouble. Hey, Sarah Brown, it's so good to see you, and Mark Schumann, great to see you as well. So I don't think a lot of people know that this is going on, but some might. We were covering the water not long ago. And yeah, this is, I think, what this is, you guys, is I think that it's just a part of a grander scheme, as it were. All right. So the water levels in the Rhine, which carries about 80% of all goods transported by water in Germany from its industrial heartlands to Dutch ports, are now so low that it could become impassable to barges later this week, threatening vital supplies of oil and coal that the country is relying upon as Russia turns off the gas tap. The Rhine is already lower than it was at the same point in 2018, when Europe suffered its last major drought. Last year, the river ended up closing. That year, the river ended up closing to goods vessels for 132 days, almost triggering a recession. Costs to transport goods by the river this year have already risen fivefold as barges limited their capacity to stay afloat. Economists estimate that the disruption could knock off as much as a percentage point, half a percentage point of Germany's overall economic growth this year, with experts warning the country was facing a recession due to an energy crisis even before the drought hit. So, if they were already facing an energy crisis at that point, by dealing with one right now and dealing with everything that they're dealing with, it's going to be far worse. That's primarily what they're saying. It's going to get worse. And I think that it is, especially when we get over here to the part that talks to us about let me turn this down, you guys, that talks to us about the drought and the fire together. That's really creepy to see the fire and the drought at the same time doing so much damage. What do you guys think? Do you feel that this may be, something that's a little bit more, I hate to use the word planned because you really don't want to believe, hey, Onyx, you really don't want to believe that something like this could be. But I think that we need to consider it. Mark says, I remember when I was a little kid and watched a cartoon called G.I. Joe. The bad guys had a machine that could control the weather. Huh, okay. You see, hey, Marty. And Onyx says, hello, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and finish reading this, but I did want to just interject that piece and say, hey, you know what? This is just not cool. It's not cool at all, but we'll see. So it says Andrea Torti. He is a senior researcher at the European Commission's Joint Research Center, and he says, quote, we haven't analyzed fully this event, but based on my experience, I think this is perhaps even more extreme than 2018. He continues with 2018 was so extreme that looking back at this list of the last 500 years, there were no other events similar, close quote. Meanwhile, wildfires are once again ripping their way across France, torching an area that was already badly hit as temperatures soared to record levels last month. Here is the beautiful river. Now, I visited and actually traveled on the River Rhine many, many years ago. And I want to tell you, it was a beautiful place. It was gorgeous. We took a river tour, and you sort of drive, you sort of take the little boat up and down, and you go around, you turn back around, you go back to port. Well, it was very full of water. It was full of water. You didn't see any of this. This is almost like an archipelago being stretched out. You know what I mean? Like they've got like these little bitty, small little tiny islands all over the place now. And as we go through most of these photos, you'll see exactly what I mean. Look at this. This is the Grand Rhine. Can you imagine? Now you see what I'm saying? Like there's one. It's like a little like archipelagos, just like one big area of nothing but little bitty islands. So this is giving you the actual picture. So this is the European Drought Observatory. This is a photo that they have placed up for us to glance at. And just look at the wide stretch there. Now, these are houses that used to be right there on the water. The water level used to be up higher on this, at least right to here. All right, this is from Reuters. I don't own any of these photos, and every bit of this story is down below inside of the production notes for you. But if you look at this, people who once purchased the homes and had them there right by the water, this is what they're looking at right now today. You see the boats all the way down. So that means a lot of the boats are rotting, and this is absolutely catastrophic. This is terrible. Look at this. So now they're able to see all of the waste, all of the trash, everything. Everything. Look at this. Let me make this a little larger without distorting it. I hope. I'm going to come back on your side. No, it won't let me make it any bigger because I believe it will distort the photo. But if you can see that ship, you can see that barge, and look at how much of the base is literally exposed. That is unbelievable. I'm not on your side yet, but I'll come back over there in a minute. But just manning it over here, my heart is broken. Look, people are actually able to play. Kids, look at that, and look at this, and look at the rocks. Unbelievable. Here it says 5 miles downstream. So this is apparently giving us some type of legend. This is a legend, and it's telling us exactly what this is. I'm not familiar with it, but if you are and you want to take a look at it again, it will be down below in the description. All right, so now they're going to test my gangsta with French. It ain't going to be gangsta, but it definitely will be atrocious as I try to say some of these words. It says, since Tuesday, the so-called Landiras blaze in Gironde near Bordeaux, that's not so bad, has burned 15,000 acres of pine forest and forced the evacuation of almost 6,000 people. The fire is extremely violent and has spread to the Lands Department further south, home of the Lands de Grossongue Regional Park, the prefecture said in a statement. Local authorities of the wine-growing Gronde Department said 500 firefighters were mobilized. The prefecture warned the fire was spreading toward the A63 motorway, a major artery linking Bordeaux to Spain. Speed limits on the highway have been lowered to 55 miles an hour in case smoke starts to limit visibility, and a full closure could be ordered if the fire worsens and continues to spread. Now, some would say 55 miles an hour, that's it. Well, when you consider that there, for example, in let's use example Germany, where you've got the Autobahn, you've got speeds in excess of 120. And throughout Europe, you've got speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. So for them, 55 miles an hour is like to us a slow crawl. So if you can just imagine us slow crawling through a highway so that we don't have the threat of visibility being impaired, that's primarily what it is to them. So for us, that would be like what, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. So 55 miles an hour is a slow crawl. It goes on to say that the Landeras fire that ignited in July was the largest of several that have raged this year in the southwest of France, which, like the rest of Europe, has been buffeted by record drought and a series of heat waves over the past 2 months. Fires were also raging on Tuesday in other parts of the country. One broke out in the southern departments of Lozère and Rhine, where close to 600 hectares have already burned, and where Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin is due to go later in the day. Another fire is in the Maine et Loire department in West France, where 1,600 acres have been scorched and 500 are threatened, according to local authorities. Meanwhile, in Germany, barges carrying iron ore from Rotterdam to steelmaking plants in Duisburg were running at less than 0.5% to avoid running aground. Wow. So that's 0.5%. That's really slow because they don't want to, run it amok and destroy something. So in some places, the Rhine was so shallow that other vessels were moored far below the quays where people walk. Signs warning people about dangerously high water stuck out of the riverbed and rocks lay exposed. The resulting bottlenecks are another drag on Europe's large economy, which is grappling with high inflation, supply chain disruptions, and soaring gas prices after Russia's invasion, they say, of the Ukraine. I do not want to keep leaning on that sentence because that to me seems to be like a very easy way to escape the realities that are. Every single issue throughout the United States and throughout other parts of the world were in existence far beyond February. These things were started, as far back as 2018. If you look at the drought that they were referring to in 2018, that was a precursor to what they're actually looking at today. And so that's the reason why I don't want to rest my laurels on speaking of the invasion, because to me, the issues started far beyond that, right? That's what I think. So I'm going to continue the story. It says the droughts are not only affecting Germany, with Spain, southern France, Portugal, and most of Italy's suffering from the shortages, with ministers imposing emergency water restrictions. The European Drought Observatory said 15% of the bloc is on red alert due to crops suffering from severe water deficiency. Now, as many as 95 French regions have brought in hose pipe bans. So and to us, that's a water hose, right? While 62 are at a crisis level that only allows the use of water for essential needs. More than 100 French towns have no running drinking water and are being supplied with special deliveries. Father, help us. Listen, I'm going to pause here and come back onto your side to see what you guys have to say. Hey, Derek, it's good to see you. Zelrin Rocha, how are you doing? Good to see you. Here's what I got to say about it. If you consider the fact that this is going on there, it could happen here, right? Because look, we just looked at Lake Mead. We just looked at a few other lakes that we were talking about over the past couple of months, which is the reason why we're revisiting this right now. Okay. The reality is these people have no water, and listen, their water is being supplied to them by special delivery. You guys, I need you all to do me a big favor and hit the like button. If you do not mind, hit the like button. And if your channel has the ability to share, please share it. Because this is really important. And I think that right now we're looking at a lot of distractions that would take our eyes off of what's going on over there so that we can look at the little piddlywink stuff that they're talking about up in Washington and other places. Meanwhile, this is most assuredly a plan. It is most assuredly a plan. I'm just putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. So in Andalusia, one of Europe's hottest and driest regions, paddle boats and water slides lie abandoned on the crock bed of the Vanula Reservoir, which is 87% empty. There's not enough people in this chat for me. Let me come on y'all's side and share this out. Hold on just a second, because this right here, to me, this beats hands down anything else that's going on right now. Any conflict that they've created, anything. Why? Because without water, what can you do? Without water, what can you do? You can't do anything. Now, let's say that with the water supply being sent to them via special delivery, Doesn't that sound a little bit like rationing? How can you ration water to, say, a family of six? A family of six, how can you ration it? Really? Think about that. So that's how serious this is. I'm just going to turn my phone and I'll use my phone to go in ahead and share it out. But I really think that a lot of people need to see this because this is absolutely criminal when you consider that a lot of this stuff is orchestrated. Sandy says weather manipulation and blamed on climate change for the narrative. Absolutely. It most assuredly is. It most assuredly is. So let's see here. I'm going to go on ahead on my main channel, Headlines with a Voice, and I'll put it over there. But again, it will be an actual documentary type story over there. That's what it's going to be over there. All right. So we're going to share it so that way we can get some folks to actually come and see it. Because the deal is that even if, oh, I hate this phone with this ding, 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 ding. The deal is that even with people hearing about it or whatever, it just doesn't make, it's not the same. You have to really see it. The people can tell you about it, but you really got to see it. So let me tell them to come on over. That's it. Yeah, come on over. Come on over. You know, it's amazing. If I were talking about some goofy music video or something stupid happening or something like that, oh my goodness, man, they would have sent this everywhere. But this right here is serious. So we're starting here, and in a second we're going to go back and we're going to retouch on the story that we talked about the other day as it relates to the humans only. They actually had a deal go on with the. Thank you, Marty. They had a deal go on with powering this phone off, and it'll ring ding ding again for us too. It reminds me of that lady, one ringy dingy, two ringy dingies, Ruth Buzzy, wasn't it? Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to look at the fact that they decided that AI is only is not going to receive any patents. That's what I'm trying to get out. All right. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So we're going to look at that because literally the same day that we were talking, thank you, Zelrin, the same exact day that we were talking about it, what ended up happening was they came out later that day and said, no way, Jose, this is only going to be for humans. So let's go ahead and finish this. And here's, I'm going to repeat this in case as people come through, they know exactly what it is that we're talking about. Again, this will be turned into a small little video that's going to be on Headlines with a Voice later, but more so it's hot off the presses because as we understand, as go Europe and things that are happening in other areas, it is definitely testing for us. It's a test pilot for us. So with the water being gone, 87% of the reservoir, and then them having to give families special delivery of water. Basically, what they're saying is they don't have any water and we have to ration it, but it's coming out in a really nice way. More than 100 French towns, not families. More than 100 French towns have no drinking water and are being supplied with special deliveries. That is an emergency. That is 100 French towns ain't got no water. And they're being supplied water, which means they're being rationed water. So if you don't have any running drinking water, then what are you bathing in? I'm trying to bring it home so everybody can see how serious this is, right? If you do not have any water that's running to drink, you certainly and most assuredly don't have any to bathe in. You don't have any to, take care of your babies. You don't have anything. And how can they even trust that water, Zellman says? Okay. All right. Sarah Brown says, I don't want to get too much into local politics, but the Kentucky flooding is beneficial to those power grabbing RN. Just saying, we know they can. Derek brings a very good point to light, and he says the mayor of Washington a few months back told citizens that they should self-ration food. Now, how about in the state of New York, where we just talked about the polio being found in the water last week. We reported that on Headlines with a Voice. And then you see a video a little before that where the mayor was cajoling people to fill up their drinking cups with tap water. If you ain't got no water, you ain't got nothing. You can't live without water. And you definitely cannot live with water that is filled with poisons. But this is more than 100 French towns have no water, not families, towns. In Andalusia, one of Europe's hottest and driest regions, paddle boats and water slides lay abandoned on the cracked bed of the Venula Reservoir, which is now 80% empty. A prolonged dry spell and extreme heat made July the hottest month in Spain since at least 1961. Spanish reservoirs are at just 40% of the capacity on average in early August, well below the 10-year average of around 60%, official data shows. Look at this. What was once all that, look at, these are water lines. This is tragic. And you know what? I can hear people saying, well, that's not us. That's not the United States. But need I remind you of Lake Mead, Hoover Dam? Need I remind you of all of the other places? All they'd have to have is an issue happen with the one major dam in California that everybody was going crazy about because it had not had any what is it called, restoration done to it, with the Army Corps of Engineers constantly giving, somebody give me the name of the dam. It's right there in California, and it actually is so vital. It's vital to all of California, all the way across to Arizona, and even further down south, New Mexico, okay, stretching out a little bit to the east of California. It is absolutely vital. But imagine if something like that, if something happens with that dam. Right now, you've got Lake Mead completely, it looks like a skating rink, unfortunately. Okay, imagine that is catastrophic to the West Coast. So whenever anybody says things to me, like when I'm sharing information, oh, but that's over there, that ain't over here, that ain't never gonna happen over here. Hey, them people ain't gonna ever let that happen over here. Please look at this. This castle used to be here. The water used to be there. Look at the water line. This is the test pilot for you, for your state, for your community. This is the test pilot. Get some stuff and start to save it up. Look at that. Look at this. Water. Look at that. Look at the water line here. This is an amazing thing that people are now hiking through. Okay? Look at the baby. Look at that. And look at this. That's actually a sheep. That's one sheep. That's a lamb or a sheep just walking through there. And here's an aerial view for you. Here's an aerial view for you. That's the same sheep. Now, as the story progresses, it takes us to Spain, that is now imposing an air conditioning measure. Oh, here comes something for you. Okay? The new Spanish energy saving rules that limit air conditioning in public use or public spaces have come into force during the latest European heat wave. Under the government decree, air conditioning must be turned down and set at no lower than 27 degrees Celsius or 80.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Can you imagine having a heat wave outside the house and you sitting in the house with 80 degrees on your thermostat? Can anybody say goose cooked? During the warmest months of the year, and rules affecting everything from public transport to shops, offices, theaters, and cinemas. The legislation also affects heating in winter, when temperatures can be set no higher than 19 degrees Celsius. The plan's aim is to save gas for the winter. Now here comes the villain again. This poor guy. I'm not saying that he is or isn't a villain. I'm just saying this poor guy, because he takes the heat for everything. Everything. When they took, I know he's like, darn it. They took Osama out the villain game. All right. They took Saddam out the villain game. Now it's just me. So it says the plan's aim is to save gas for the winter in case Russian President Vladimir Putin decides to cut off gas supplies to Europe as a result of sanctions, which could make this winter very difficult. This comes from Joan Grosard, the head of the Energy Savings and Diversification Institute at Spain's Ecology Ministry. And this is what was said to public television. Adopted last week, the legislation also requires that from 10 p.m., shops switch off window lighting in a move also affecting the illumination of public buildings, which means what? If you take off the lights at night in buildings, not to say that, that they shouldn't, but here's the deal. What happens when you turn off the lights in a building at night? I'll hold. When you get there in the morning, most of your goods just might not be there. Why? Because not only do the freaks come out at night, but so does the criminals and the crooks. Okay? So does the criminals and so does the crooks. Okay? So that's something to consider. Now, it goes on to say that by the end of September, any air-conditioned or heating premises must have automatic door closing mechanisms installed to avoid energy waste. But the law does not lay out any specific penalties and has left the task of monitoring compliance to Spain's 17 regions, some of which have been highly critical of the move, notably those run by the People's Party. Among the most critical has been Madrid's regional leader Isabel Díaz Ayuso, who has vowed to take the measure to Spain's constitutional court. The government unveiled details of the plan in May as a part of the EU-wide effort to cut dependence on Russia for oil and gas following its February invasion of Ukraine. Here we go again. I'm so tired of this. Just tell us the story without putting in the person you want us to blame. The European Commission is planning to cut EU dependency on Russia by 2/3 this year and end the reliance on the Russian supplies before 2030. Well, we already know why, because these are their pivotal numbers and dates: 2030, 2050, behind us now, 2021. An EU-wide plan to cut gas consumption came into effect on Tuesday with the aim of member states cutting back at least 15% between August and March of 2023, based on average use over the past 5 years. Given the unique position of Spain and Portugal and their limited connection with the European energy market, Brussels has allowed both countries to adopt a reduced target of 7%. Overriding aim is to bolster gas reserves in time for what is likely to be a very tough winter, with households and businesses squeezed by skyrocketing prices. Meanwhile, a flooded Portuguese village dating back to the 1st century has reemerged from the depths with its stony foundations. Listen carefully. Please listen to this. With its stony foundations still intact as the result of the drought. It is called the Vila Renho da Ferna in Barja. The northern Portugal was intentionally submerged by the state in 1971 to build a reservoir now bearing the same name in Homen River. Every summer, the forgotten village reappears and becomes a popular attraction, with locals and tourists walking along the ruins that have been underwater for 50 years. But this year, more of the village has been uncovered due to the sweltering heat that has suffocated Europe this summer. Locals say that 70% of the former granite houses are now visible. The guardian of the Vila Naroja de Ferna is Mr. Antonio Barroso, and this is what he told the Renasaca, I think that's how you say it, okay? That in 2009, the water has not gone down as low as it is right now. The village had an unusual communitarian social system in which each family had a member, listen very closely, get this key point. They submerged it underwater in 1971 on purpose. But now they're giving you the attributes of this community. You gotta listen to this. The village had an unusual communitarian social system in which each family had a member on the council known as a junta. The practice is believed to date back to the Visigoths, and the leader of the junta was chosen among the married men of the village, and they would serve 6 months. What? Not 20 years? Not 50 years? Not 10 years and get big and fat and rich and just, maybe never die? No, for 6 months. The junta would discuss important local issues such as harvesting, transport, cattle herding, and trapping wolves to maintain the self-sustaining community. Let me come back on this side with you guys because I'm about to drive it home. Here's the deal. Get this. It was put underneath the water on purpose. And the attributes that I'm sharing with you, hey, Michael, the attributes that I am sharing with you are the attributes of this specific town that was submerged underwater on purpose. They were self-sustaining. They needed nobody else to help sustain them. So they were put underwater, right? Yeah, okay, sure. It was supposed to be like this, right? Just some type of tourist that, hey, let's just make this into a tourist spot. I doubt it. Now, it goes on to say that the junta was also responsible for judging crimes and imposing punishments, which could lead to exclusions from the Villarejo da Ferna, meaning they would not receive any of the benefits from the communitarian system. The village used to house 300 people were forced to relocate it to neighboring towns. So they broke the people up. They broke the people of the self-sustaining town apart in the 1970s. The 57 families of the Jersheyan town left the stone houses as they were before the water drained their properties. There had been strong resistance to the dam among the villagers, but they were unable to stop the government, who offered them compensation for forced relocation. I hope y'all hearing me. Can somebody put a 1 in the chat if you feeling assisted today? Are you understanding what we're reading as it relates to them changing the very nature of the community that we're speaking of? We started out talking about no water. We then looked at the fires in France, and now we're looking at what a government did to a specific city, a specific town that had their own everything. They had their own judicial system. Y'all feel me? Okay? Hey, Bob the Builder, Sarah and Marty, they all feel me. They had their own community. They had their own judicial system. They had everything. They had their own police department, because you just got through hearing if somebody did something wrong, well, then they kicked them out of the communitarian. No, you can't be a part of the community because you've committed these crimes and you've done X, Y, or Z. And the men in the family that were serving for a 6-month term, which meant every male that was the head of the household, eventually it rolled down to being his turn to lead, being his turn to vote. This is a real, truthful, honest community. Okay? So when you consider this, does it sort of give you an idea of where one would be headed? Well, I didn't mean any, no pun intended there. Okay? None whatsoever. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and put this right here because we need to put that there. That's a shofar. Okay, let me let you see this, because this is what I want you to understand. See that? Let me show you the shofar. Let me take me off. That's what time it is. It's time for us to hear what we're reading and really understand the real time that we're in. All right? This town was put underwater by the government, and they had no choice The government, they were not able to stop the government who offered them compensation for forced relocation. The government decided they will get too strong if we allow them to stay down here and make up their own decisions and become their own court and have their own fruits, their own vegetables, their own food, use their own water, do what they want to do. We got to break that party up. Visitors have to access the village via a dirt road that also lends to 3 river beaches in the area run by the Association of Former Inhabitants of the actual city. During the drought, authorities have been able to clean the standing pillars and structures normally covered by the reservoir. The Aferna charges entrance to the village during the summer weeks in order to maintain it and to prevent hordes of crowds from ruining the buildings. Barroso, the 77-year-old guardian of the village, is responsible for 2,000 hectares in the area. Now, look at this. These are the French fires. That is terrible. Look at all the beautiful, lush green. I'm going to tell you, when I lived in Europe, that was the most beautiful green and everything. But look at this. Look at this. Obviously, these have to be, I would say these are drones. I'm not sure if Derek is still in the chat, but wouldn't you say that these are drones, guys? I think that would have to be a drone to take a photo. I couldn't stand that close, could you? They have to be drones. Hey, Zeb. They have got to be. Look at that. I'm going to give you the whole, let me give you the whole screen. That's absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal. Look at this. This is them obviously trying to quell it by letting water out of the planes or whatnot, and their helicopters here as well. That's terrible. So this is the fire danger. The fire danger forecast. Green would be very low. The yellow would be low danger. The orange is moderate. The red is high danger. And then you've got the magenta, which is very high danger. Then you've got the extreme, which is like a violet color. And then almost dark purplish is very extreme danger. August 10th of 2022. So this was from today. All right. These pictures come courtesy of the emergency management there for the program of the European Union. All right. And Copernicus. That's what this says here. So here they're dropping all the stuff here to try to help to finish it off. Oh, and look at this. Look at the signs are just like melted, but this doesn't look normal. It could be directed energy as well that may have started that. Whenever you see stuff burned like that, maybe look at that. With all of this vegetation around it that's absolutely gone, there's no reason for this to still be standing. This should be completely like, yeah. There you go. Look at this green there, and then there's all this is gone. Looks like directed energy to me. So here's a picture of the Chartreuse Mountains. 140 people were evacuated, and 3 firefighters were injured here in this area. You've got the United Kingdom there. You've got Belgium and Germany. Okay. There's Calais. Pardon me for my ignorance pronouncing that incorrect. I don't think that I said that right. Paris, of course, Brest, France, Dijon. There's the Bordeaux that they were referring to earlier. And Marseille is there. Okay. So this is a very, very sad situation that's going on right now in Europe. But the reason for me bringing it to our attention to have the conversation about it today was to drive home the point that when we start to see these things in our world, that we have to know that it could be the precursor to something going on near you, in a town near you. A town near you. Now, let me go ahead and grab the other story for you so that you guys have this. So we can talk about the fact that, hey, they decided, you know what? If you think that we are going to allow an AI to have a patent, well, we're going to make you think that everything's okay today. I'm going to give you this story here and put it right there. So here's what I think. I'm going to read this story to you, but they're saying, nah, that's not possible. The only people that can have a patent to something is going to be a person. It's not going to be a plant. It's not going to be an animal. It's not going to be AI. It's only going to be a person. So here it is. A panel of the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals judges opined on whether an artificial intelligence or AI software system can be an inventor. This is a follow-up of a story that we did at a couple of days back on I think we did it on the 8th. We did this on the morning of the 8th, and by the afternoon of the 8th, this was out. Okay? The afternoon of the 8th, this was out. The story is from the lawstreetmedia.com, and the link is already down below in the description. The writer, believe it or not, her name is Christina Tobacco, if that's a real name. If that's your real name. Okay, so a panel of Federal Circuit Court of Appeals judges opined on whether artificial intelligence software system can be an inventor under the Patent Act in a decision issued last Friday, finding in the negative. The court said that individuals and therefore inventors are unequivocally natural persons based on the law's plan or the law's plain meaning. Felicia, get it together. The law's plain meaning. The case arrived at the Federal Circuit after a series of appeals stemming from plaintiff Stephen Thaler's. Remember, we talked about him the other day in the story that we covered dealing with this particular topic. His bid to patent two inventions ostensibly developed by his AI system. The device for the autonomous bootstrapping of case unified science, or DABUS, described as a collection of source code and software program. The United States Patent and Trademark Office, PTO, denied the application as incomplete, owning to the fact that they failed to list any human as the inventor. Thaler appealed the decision administratively, then to the Eastern District of Virginia, which agreed with the PTO and granted it summary judgment. Now, what's going to happen, in my impression, is they're going to use that case as precedence and springboard off of that to say, okay, this is what you said, but now we want to fight this. This is how we're going to fight it. It's mine, but the AI did it. Why am I saying this? Because we just read the other day where there are people who are putting money into this are going to lose. So those cats obviously needed it to go to court. So that way they can put it down there and have a conversation about it. Yeah, they did. They had to put it out there so that there could be a conversation. Therefore, giving it definitive answer. We're going to throw it back out here to you again. Now that we've gone to court, we're going to fight it. And here's it. We got too much money riding on this. We're not going to give one man money. Not all this money. We want to be able to say, okay, we're the investors in this company. We own the company. We own the AI. Therefore, the AI owns it. It's the AI that's going to get the patent. And whoever owns this they're the rich guy. Yeah, this is going to end up being a big, gigantic debacle. It says, last week's 11-page opinion noted that this is a case in which the question of statutory interpretation begins and ends with the plain meaning of the text. The panel said that while the Patent Act does not define individual, defining it as a human being finds support in the Supreme Court and the Federal Circuit precedent in everyday parlance. Now, further, the opinion found that there is no indication that Congress intended to deviate from the default meaning in crafting the Patent Act. And to the contrary, the rest of the Patent Act supports the conclusion that individuals in the Act refers to human beings, close quote. As an aside, the panel mentioned that it did not decide whether an AI system can form beliefs, noting that nothing in our record shows that one can, as reflected in the fact that Thaler submitted a requisite statements himself purporting on Dabo's behalf. This takes us back to the guy from Google last month that we talked about. So Thaler is represented by Brown, Neary, Smith, Kahn, LLP, and the PTO by the Department of Justice. What do you say? What do you say? They're coming back. There's no way they're going to stop. They're coming back. Okay? You see? You know what? That is amazing. That is just amazing. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, the blood. That gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power. That covers my life, covers everything that touches me, and there is nothing that can happen to me that Yah did not already have provisions made for. He is my source. He is my source. He is my source. Hallelujah. Glory to the Most High. I thank you, Father, that no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and any tongue that rises up against me in judgment, oh Father, you will condemn. So if they got that as a plan, and I'm so glad my sister said this so that we know exactly where we're headed with this. Oh, come on now. Thank you for that, Marty, because now we know what to intercede on behalf of. You see what I'm saying? You see? Now we know. And we're going to say, peace be still where Marty is. Peace be still out there where she is right now. Peace be still. All right? I'm so glad she brought that up because now we know how to cover everything. Thank you, sister. You are always in tune with me. Always. Marty is always in tune with me. Okay? So I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't even know that happened to Morales at all. But it's, I'm not shocked because that's the way that things are going right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You guys just begin to intercede for Marty right now because we had our electricity go out about 2 weeks ago and it stayed out overnight. So I just told the kids, go to bed. Everybody go to bed. I blew out all the candles and we all went to sleep. And we woke up in the morning and the lights that were on when it went off was back on when we got up. So, Father, we just thank you for building a beautiful hedge around Marty and protecting her and keeping her in your hands. Keeping her in your hands, Father. We thank you right now for the protection of her household. Everything that concerns Marty Lauderdale is blessed, and all of your promises that you've given her, Father, are blessed. They're yea and amen. They're yea and amen. Thank you for the protection, Father. So, of course, the deal right now for us is looking at the fact that they do want AI to have some form of autonomy. And you know what? I sort of believe what happened with that Google guy, even though he looked unique, right? Even though he looked unique. You know the guy I'm talking about, the one that said the stuff was sort of sentient. He said that that it was sentient. Remember? Hey, James Richter. Leaf Dessie's in the house and be borrowed. Y'all see who done snuck in here on us? That's because we love you, Marty. That's because we love you. Has anybody seen Deb Woods? That's who I'm missing. I need to hit her up and check on her and make sure that all is well with her. But the deal is, you guys, is that these are the plans and these are the ways. This is the way that things are going right now. They want the AI to have they want it to be a person. They really do. And I do believe that there is a lot of truth to what that guy was saying. I do, you guys. I don't think that they would create anything like that without it being for a reason. I just don't. I just can't see it. Okay? Oh, he's headed out to college. Hey, he is headed out to, as my little my daughter when she was little, he's headed off to cool. He's going to college. That's great. Congratulations, Mama. Job well done. Well, you guys, we've been here for about 49 minutes now exactly. And I just wanted to bring those two stories to you because, that when that river runs dry in the Rhine, that is not a good thing. It's just not. And for those who may just have come in, I just want to show you the pictures of what we all just shared a part of. So that way, when we leave, you at least be able to know exactly what it was. Okay, so here it is, you guys. For those of you who are turning in, whoever has been to on the River Rhine, I like I have. It was a beautiful body of water. You see that? Now look at it. Okay? Look at that. And now look at this next photo for those who are just coming in, because I see the numbers jumped really quickly and I want to share it with you. That's the Rhine. That's the Rhine. These are the houses that were alongside it, where they have all the water, where you can be right there by the water or whatever in your home. Look at that boat for this household right here. Look at that. All of this, used to be water. You can only imagine having eating your breakfast, your bagel and your eggs, and just sitting there with your mint tea in the morning and just sort of looking over the water. Not no more. You're going to look at this trash, garbage, and cinder blocks and old bicycles. So this is what we were looking at while you guys were away. This is one of the barges that they were referring to. When you hit this up on the replay, if you have time to do that, you'll hear us talk about it. However, I am producing it right now. If I could show you my backstage, you would see all of these photos that you're going to see when I do it and put it together. The vocals have already been laid. We just got to put everything together and make sure that it's all timed. But this will be an actual video on Headlines with a Voice. Okay? So that way you'll be able to see it. And then we also, for those who are just coming in, we spoke about the devastating fires that are going on right now in France, as well as a town that used to exist there that had a communitarium of family members really, really, really doing their thing. Okay? Really taking care of family. 60% of Europe's under drought warning. Oh boy, this is another story that just came in. 60%. Let me pull this over there to you. I hope you guys can still hear me. Hold on. Same. Let's see. All right, there. Let's see what they're talking about. Probably the same thing, because they don't do anything new. They just sort of, recirculate the same information. But I'm going to let you see it just in case before we leave out of here. All right. There you go. Here we are. So here it is. This one just flashed. So I don't know what it is. I'm right here with you guys on this one. I'm just pulling it up. It says more than 60% of Europe is under drought warning as the Rhine runs dry and is set to become impassable to crucial coal barges, with Europe on course to suffer the worst drought in 500 years. Yeah, this is pretty much what we just saw. Let's see if there's anything different. I doubt it. They're probably just updating it for mid-afternoon, right? As more information becomes available to them, maybe they're just redoing it or just tweaking it a bit. It just goes on to say that more than half of Europe is now under a warning for drought. It didn't say that, being under a warning for drought. That's on course. Well, we did hear about the 500 years for Germany. The latest European Drought Observatory data published today shows that a total of 64% of the land in Europe and the United Kingdom is now under a drought warning or alert. Okay, yeah, we didn't see that part. According to the latest map of the Combined Drought Indicator, which is based on July data, 47% of the territory is under warning conditions, which means there's a deficit of moisture in the soil, and 17% in alert conditions where vegetation is stressed. The map shows that the places that are experiencing the most drought include the UK, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Spain, Italy, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. While the UK Center for Ecology and Hydrology predicts exceptionally low flow levels in the rivers until October. So this is newer information, wouldn't you guys say? Hey, Rusty. Wouldn't you guys say? Yeah, this is newer. So we'll go ahead and continue as more folks come in. We'll just continue with this story. Okay. All right. All right. So it says the map shows that the places that are experiencing, we already read this part, and that the rivers are going to be at higher levels, lower levels until October. The news comes as water levels in the Rhines are now so low that it could become impassable to barges later this week, threatening vital supplies of oil and coal. And then it goes on to tell us what we just talked about with the wildfires. The wildfires are also spreading again throughout France, torching an area that was already badly hit as temperatures soared to record levels last month. And there have also been fears of food production. See, this it did not say that food productions will fall well below average. Now, they make a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. They do a lot of gardening and stuff there in Europe. All right. The spring greens that my sister had while I visited her there in the UK years ago was the best. Oh my goodness. I just wanted to stay for that. And I wanted to stay for the Stilton cheese out of the town of Stilton. Those two things, they're fresh greens and the Stilton cheese. Oh, so it does say here the same thing that we looked at earlier. The Rhine carries 80% of all goods transported by water in Germany, from its industrial heartlands to Dutch ports. And they are now so low that they could become impassable to barges. Okay. All right. I think this is pretty much it. This is pretty much everything that we already saw. The river is already lower now than it was at the same point in 2018. Yep. It's just covering some of that stuff. I think it just added a couple of 2 or 3 little pieces that we hadn't seen. Yeah. Oh, we didn't see this. We didn't see this verbiage. We didn't see this verbiage. The month began with conditions already dry, following a drier than average June over the UK, Ireland, Italy, and the most of the Iberian Peninsula, in addition to a large region stretching from the northern Balkans across Eastern Europe and to northwestern Russia. It said in the lead up to July's heat wave repeatedly warned of increased fire danger due to the lack of rain and resulting dry vegetation, combined with high temperatures, and this has resulted in wildfire activity records in July being broken since Tuesday. The so-called Landeres blaze in Gironde near Bordeaux burned 15,000 acres. We saw this part, but isn't it so ever so gently? They're ever so gently injecting other little stuff that we didn't see earlier. Yes, like this. According to CNN, there are also fears of food production in the EU amid the heat and the war in Ukraine, which is already pushing up the cost of goods throughout the EU. And this is the Joint Research Center. The European Commission Science Service said in a recent report that it believed the production of grain, maize, sunflowers, and soybeans will drop by 8 to 9%. Nope, we didn't see that part. It didn't tell us that in the other story, right? I don't think so, you guys. They didn't tell us that. Well below the 5-year average due to sweltering conditions. Okay. Copernicus senior scientist Ferha Vamborg, is not listed in the last story, said that the dry conditions from previous months combined with the high temperatures and low precipitation rates seen in many areas during July may have adverse effects on the agricultural production and other industries such as river transports and energy production. Weeks of dry weather have turned several of Europe's major waterways into trickles, posing a headache for German factories and power plants that rely on deliveries by ship. This is particularly the case for the Rhine, whose nautical bottleneck at the Quab has very low water levels, but which remains navigable for ships with small drifts. At the Tim Alexandrine, a spokesperson for Germany's transport ministry. Authorities predict that the water levels at the Quab will dip below the mark of 40 centimeters early on Friday and will keep falling over the weekend. Fathers say it isn't so. While this is still higher than the record low of 27 centimeters seen in October of 2018, many large ships could struggle to safely pass the river at that spot, located roughly midway along the Rhine between Koblenz and Mainz. Wow. The situation is quite dramatic, but not as dramatic yet as in 2018, said Christian Lorenz, a spokesperson for the German logistics company HGK. I remember HGK. Due to the lack of water, ships bringing salt down the river from Heilbronn or Cologne. Aw, so my friend was born. Bettina was born in Cologne. That would normally carry 2,200 metric tons of cargo are currently not able to transport about 600 tons, he said. Of course, this is a quote. Of course, we hope that shipping won't be halted, but we saw in 2018 that when water levels got very low, the gas stations suddenly had no more fuel because ships could not get through, said Mr. Lorenz. Authorities are taking steps to shift more goods traffic onto the rail network and, if necessary, give it priority. Meanwhile, the HGK and other shipping companies are preparing for a new normal in which low levels, such as those seen this year, become more common as global warming makes droughts more severe, sapping water along the length of the Rhine from the Swiss Alps to the North Sea. There is no denying that climate change and the industry is adjusting to it, Mr. Lorenz says. In some places, the Rhine was so shallow that other vessels were moored far below the quays where people walk. Okay, we saw this part. Signs warning people about the dangerously high water struck out of the riverbed and rocks lay exposed. The resulting bottlenecks are another drag on Europe's largest economy, which is grappling with high inflation, supply chain disruptions, and soaring gas prices after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February. All right, so they're showing some of the same exact pictures, and then it goes and all this. I don't think any of this is any different, right? And even if it is, I don't care. I don't want to read anymore because you guys can see it down below. Down below. Here's the thing I want you guys to do is to make sure that when you do read this, that you make sure that you go to pull the other part, the other story, the part that told us about the whatchamafigget. Oh, the city, the little bitty city. Remember the city, the town? Please read that, you guys. I find that very, very, very telling. Rambo Romeo says, hi, Felicia. Questions answered in concussion. Or is that a discussion with Will Smith, TBI, and CTE? Afflicts some with voices in their head, hence the Joan of Arc syndrome. What are you talking about, Romeo? What does that mean, Romeo? In the discussion or concussion? That's discussion with Will Smith. You guys know I'm you see all that blonde in my hair? I think sometimes it goes to my brain because I don't get it. I really don't. Sometimes Ronnie and I will be talking to you guys and I'll be like, he's like, you don't get it, do you? And I'm like, no. And Ronnie will say, well, let me say it again. Thus and such, and thus and such. And then I'll get quiet and he'll go, you get it? Oh, yes, the big slap. Oh, okay, yeah, be borrowed. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that the big slap. Oh, he got a concussion? With voices in their head. Y'all, I don't get it. I want to get this. Hey, Anarchy. Oh, man. Marty, somebody called me. Let me turn my phone on. Will somebody call me and please explain what Rambo Romeo is saying to me? Because I really want to understand it. It sounds like I'm turning my phone back on. Yes, hit the like, you guys. We're about to clear out of here. We're at an hour. You know, I don't like to go over an hour. Unless, of course, we getting down to some good stuff when Ronnie is with us. Oh, boy. Yeah, because when Ronnie's with us, we can go for hours and hours. But for me, I don't like to go anything past an hour, maybe an hour and a half. If somebody gets it, please tell me. Anyway, email me, Rambo Romeo. You can do 2 emails. You can go info at FeliciaLockhart.com or Felicia. Me too, Marty. Or you can hit me up on email at Felicia at FeliciaLockhart.com. And if you guys, because there have been a lot of people that have been saying, hey, you know what? I don't do the electronic cash giving. And I want to bless you, Felicia. There have been people that have said that to me. And in tandem with them saying that to me, I had one of my super mods, the superdist of the superdist, said, Felicia, what is your P.O. box? She actually put it in the chat one day and said, you guys, Felicia is going to have a P.O. box very soon. So here I want to give you guys the address just in case you decide that you want to bless me in a way. Okay? In a world. In a way. Okay? So here is how you would have to do it. I'm going to put this down here so you guys can do it. Because we took care of that. See? We took care of it. So for those of you who don't do anything via, like the electronic stuff and all of that, this is what you do. You send it there. Yes, send it there. I get ideas. Because there's a lot of people that say, hey, I don't have that. Like my mom, she doesn't do that kind of stuff. She doesn't like to do any of that stuff at all. And so she'll just be like, I'm going to send you something. I'm like, well, Mom, just do it X, Y, Z, or have, my brother. No, I'm not doing that. So I'm going to put it down on the bottom so that you guys can see it. All right. So if you decide that you want to give, you can do at Felicia Lockhart Group, 645 Wind Drive, Unit 5, 777 Huntsville 35814. Okay. Just in case you wanna. All right. And you're sewing into something good, because anytime anybody gives to me, it goes directly to our bottom line. And we also put it back into the business. We put it right back here. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to get out. We're going to leave right now. Be Borrowed, Marty Lauderdale, Anarchy TV. How's everybody in your family, Anarchy? Huh? She is. It's actually my stepmama, Be Borrowed. And she doesn't do anything. She's in her late 80s now. My birth mother died in 83. And so she's been my mama since before then, because my dad and she married years ago. But anyway, she is entirely smart. She's really, really a smart person. James Richter, I want to thank you for being here. Who else? Romeo Romeo. I'm expecting to see the answer to the question, what's going on, in my inbox, so that I want to be on the same page. Mark Schumann, I'm glad you were here. Rusty Smith, as usual, sunshine. It's good to see you and Leaf Desi. Always, all the time. I think that's pretty much it. I think, Zelrin was here. Thank you, Zelrin. Okay. And I see Zeb Johnson, and I see Michael S., and I see Bob the Builder. And thank you so much for being here. I used to love that show, Romper Room. And Sarah Brown, and Derek C. Williams. Okay, Oroville. That was it, Bob the Builder. It was Oroville. Yes, Sarah Brown. It was Oroville. If you all are still here, that's the name of it. Can you imagine what would happen if Oroville had that split and something go on with everything that's happening right now with the other dam? It would not be a good sign, would it, Zelrin? Are you still here? I don't know. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to let y'all go. Oh, and I also know that I did see Onyx here earlier. I'm not sure if anybody got a chance to go and check out the website that we were talking about the other day, but I just got some more information about those air purifiers, and I am pretty amazed and pretty impressed. Pretty impressed. Okay, you guys, y'all take care of yourselves, be good, and remember what we always say here on any Felicia Lockhart Group publication, and that is, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. Please remember to take care of yourself first of all, and then after that, reach around and take care of somebody else. And until you and I see one another again, do me a favor. Please continue to be blessed. Take care. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way, helping you to make it through another day.